Hello everyone, my name is Iramika with cocktailsandthread.com, and today I'm going to show you how to sew a rag quilt. Now a rag quilt are the ones that you see that has the frayed edges on the surface of the quilt, the side that faces up. And today I'm going to show you how to sew your squares to ensure that you have the edges up so you can cut them and they can fray nicely when you're finished. Now, you would have followed your instructions, you would have cut out your squares to whatever dimensions you need, and now I'm going to show you how to sew these two together and what's important about that quilt. Now once you have your pieces and you decided that you were going to have batting inside, or if they were heavy enough fabric and you didn't need to have the batting, and if you decided to quilt on the inside, you then will have your two squares, sandwiches. So we have our two squares, so this would be the side facing up, and then this would be the side that's facing down. Now normally when you would sew your pieces together, you would sew your right sides together. And that would be your facing side, the right sides that are facing up together. But for the rag quilt, what makes it unique is that you have to sew together the pieces that are facing up. Now we're going to proceed to sew a 1-inch seam allowance along the top of the edge to allow us to have some piece left over for us to sew, to cut up and fray. Now let's go to the machine. So now that we're here, we want to make sure we have our 1 inch from the top and our 1 inch along the seam allowance. And it's also really good if you have a walk-in foot because it helps to ensure that you feed all the layers of the fabric properly. And now that we're here, we're going to begin to sew our seam. And you want to make sure that you stop with a 1 inch from the bottom edge as well, and then just take a couple of stitches backwards. And that completes your square. Now that you've sewn together your two squares, you have the side that's going to be the right side facing up, and you have your seam allowance that you will clip along the edge when you are done. And this is how your back would look. It would be flat. And when you continue to follow your pattern, you will continue to add on your squares to whatever pattern you've decided. And then when you're done, you would clip that seam allowance all along the edges. And then when you place it in a wash machine, it gets this frayed edge. And that is how you sew together a rag quilt. My name is Iramika. If you have any questions, feel free to reach me at e@cocktailsandthread.com.